There's a very big problem plaguing NIO right now, and it's absolutely hurting sales. And I want you to sit through this one with me. And it's not me hating on NIO, it's not anything like that. Again, uh, love the product, love the car, love the brand. And just 2 days ago, I helped the NIO manager sell a NIO to a customer. It was me with the NIO manager together, and I offered a lot of my perspective as a NIO customer, what's good, what's bad, and help them make a better choice. And they were really happy that, me as a NIO owner for more than 900 days was able to share my opinions and which car to get and which car not to get. So we're going to talk about the problem. And the other problem, well, it's the same problem. During that same day when I was filming the ET5 touring video, and I bumped into the NIO owner with 23 NIO's brother Je, and he told me, of course, off camera, how just yesterday, just the day before when I filmed that, he and a few other NIO owners were helping out this driver. And this driver was a driver for a very, very rich boss. Like, the boss is super rich. The boss doesn't even have time to look at the cars to buy. He just sends his driver to go buy the car because it's going to be the driver driving the car and the boss is going to be sitting in the car. And the driver test drove the ES7 and the ES6. And here comes the problem. Here's the dilemma. The ES7 has the smoother air suspension, so you got smoother ride quality, but so it's more comfortable to sit inside the ES6, the more comfortable seats. So the driver test drove both, and there was a really big dilemma, like, which one do I go for? Do I go for the smoother ride, or do I go for the more comfortable seats? And it was just a really big debate that he had to do, the driver, because if he chooses the wrong one, you might get in trouble. So what ends up happening? He went and test drove something else, some other brand. I'm not going to talk about which brand, but I think you guys know which brand it is. Starts with an L. All right? So there's the dilemma, guys. And this is the NIO owner of 23 NIOs telling me about this. And this is what I also wholeheartedly agree. This is the biggest problem right now facing NIO and the product lineup, is that there's intentional imperfection. The best cars don't have the best specs, and the newer cars that are cheaper don't have the option to add on whatever the customers want. So let me further elaborate with the ES7 and ES6 situation right now. The ES6 launched later on. Spring suspension, CDC, has more comfortable seats than the ES7, but does not offer the option to go for air suspension, which they absolutely should do. And the ES7 released last year, summer of last year, has the air suspension but does not have the self-developed seats, so the seats aren't that comfortable. And you really have to let customers choose which one do they want to sacrifice. It becomes a compromise. It becomes a pain point to have to consider between the two products, right? Which one do I choose? Do I choose the air suspension, or do I choose the more comfortable seats? Why can't NIO just slap on air suspension on the ES6 as an option, and then if you want air suspension, go ahead, pay the extra 100K RMB. We get extra money, you get what you want, you get the more comfortable seats, and you get air suspension, and you pay us more money. Win-win situation. But NIO doesn't do that. Why? Why won't they do that? Well, I'll tell you why. Two reasons. They don't want to kill off the ES7, which, unfortunately, I gotta say, it's already pretty much killed off. Who would buy the ES7 right now when the ES6 exists? A lot of the top tier specs, new stuff on the ES6 isn't added on the ES7. They absolutely should, even though this would mean that they would have to spend more money and adjust the product line. But if you don't adjust the product line, who would still buy the ES7? The new Matrix headlights on the ES6, the ES7 is a 100K extra starting price, but doesn't even have that. Absolutely, it should have that. It's like saying the BMW X5 has inferior stuff compared to BMW X3. That makes absolutely no sense, right? So from a product perspective, that's just plain stupid. That's like doing that, right? it does mean they would have to adjust the product line, and it's very unfortunate that they're not doing it. If you look at what Li Auto's doing with their product lineup, they're offering different versions of the same product. Offering different versions of the same product. The L7, L8, L9 are pretty much the same car, but they're different versions of that car. You can go from spring suspension to air suspension, or air suspension plus screen, or choose the different dimensions if you want the bigger one, L9, smaller one, L8, even smaller, 5-seater one, L7. But they are all in essence pretty much the same car. Whereas with NIO's product lineup is more, you got to compromise and choose between products and features. You got to choose between the features. Now, I want to give NIO credit where credit is due. NT1 has been really successful. NT2 right now has been just a really weird dilemma that we're talking about right now. But NT1, they actually had a really good thing going on in terms of product selection. ES8, obviously, you got top of the tier stuff on ES8, and the ES6, on the first gen ES6, you could choose spring suspension or air suspension. You can specify it so that you have what you need. With the ES6 right now, it seems just that the thing that most people are complaining about is that it doesn't have air suspension. Even though I tested it out, the suspension itself is very, very good. It's just what people point out at. You either have it or you don't have it. And people just poking at this weakness that NIO does not have air suspension on the new ES6. And the other thing that's really hurting sales right now, and I'm seeing online a lot of people canceled the ES6 mostly because of the fact that they are forced to take a lot of the specs that they don't really care about. And they should absolutely make more things optional instead of forcing it on. And I think NIO's realizing that right now by having the service separated. But for the product itself, right, before in the first gen ES6, if you don't need it HUD, heads-up display, you can choose not to have it. But now it's standard. Like, what? Some people choose not to have a HUD. They don't want the HUD. They want the car to be cheaper. Some people don't want the matrix headlights, even though, I don't see why they don't want them, but some people don't want them, and they just want the car to be cheaper. Some people don't want the microfiber interior headlining and just want the car to be cheaper, and then have the option to do it, to add that, or don't add that, or just have cloth. And the biggest pain point right now is that the stuff that is really important, for example, heat ventilation and massage, that should be made standard, but they did not make that standard. The other reason why the ES6 doesn't have air suspension, and probably it's also because it's using the same chassis and sort of skateboard as the ET5, and that ET5 platform is pretty much designed not being able to use air suspension. And I think they designed it without considering adding air suspension in. That could be another possible reason why they did not give the option for air suspension. And once again, everything that I've talked about, all the complaints about these customers are having and why they're canceling orders is mainly because there isn't the thing that they want, right? There isn't the optionality to choose what they want, and some of the stuff that they don't want are forced on them. And I think NIO really, if they want to have more success, they really got to look at their first gen product lineup and why that really worked out, and refocus on product optionality and listen to customers and what they want. Because if you don't even offer what they want and then force something onto them that they don't want, they're going to buy something else. So if you guys remember, a few weeks back, about a month back, I made that famous video, ES7 owners feeling betrayed and backstabbed by the ES6. In my next video, or my next video, I'll talk more about the ES7 versus ES6 right now, and what some of the top former NIO guys have said about these two cars. That's going to be also a very juicy video, so stay tuned for that. What do you think about NIO's current product lineup? I think it's just a complete mess. Each vehicle cannibalizing each other instead of offering different variants of the same vehicle, which is what a lot of the other competitors are doing. Don't forget to like this video. We're aiming for 30K subs by the end of this year, and turn on the bell for all notifications. Anyways, that's going to be it for this one. Stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.